Welcome to Redvee TV's Instant Fan Reaction, supported by A-Star Recruitment for the 2021 season, as we reflect on Saints' first defeat of the year away to the Catalans Dragons this evening, 20 points to 16 in Perpignan. Glad to say I'm joined by Peter Elder this evening to dissect that performance. Listen, I think we should probably start off saying that there's not a lot of teams that are going to go to the south of France this year and come away with the spoils. It wasn't the best performance, and we probably shot ourselves in the foot in the opening 40 minutes.
Yeah, I think we did. And so did you. Did you say that we were conjoined? I don't know how that happened, but not to worry. Yeah, I think obviously a lot of people are going to be a bit grumpy and shouting for change left, right and centre because we've lost our first game. Certainly because people were moaning when we had won games. Listen, no team wins every game in a season. Let's just put that out there. We were due a defeat. And quite honestly, I would rather we had it today than had it in 2 weeks in the semi-final. So let's get a defeat out of the way before we get to that match, because we can make up these 2 points Friday night, hopefully. First half, yeah, I don't know. I thought we seemed to make mistakes and get punished with. The first try though for the Catalan, I'd like to see that again in terms of, I think Kev got up to try to play the ball properly, and it's not a Catalan player running about his legs and a half over his back, and it's instantly it's incorrect play the ball, and they score off that. Which was disappointing, but we obviously blew a couple of try scoring opportunities ourselves. So we can certainly, criticise the referee. And I did, although I have to pull myself up as well, because the Nagama one where he put down, I was too busy noticing, was that a forward pass? He got that down, noticing that he put his right boot in touch. So I can't criticise anyone when I made a mess of that one myself. But, we made more mistakes than Robert Hicks. Let's put that out there. We are more responsible for the defeat than the referee. He didn't make decisions, yes, but we ultimately were more responsible for our own downfall. It's not a disaster though. We've lost one game by 4 points, and people have said that we played terribly. So if that's the case, then let's not throw the baby out with the bathwater. It's one game, and as you say, other teams will go there and lose, and hopefully next Saturday night a team will go there and lose as well, and we'll be hopefully back top of the table.
Yeah, obviously we've been defeated by 4 points. I think we did get done a little bit with that first decision in the first half, which put us 8-0 down. For me, Nagama's getting up to play the ball, and the man's all over him. 9 times out of 10, you get given a penalty there, and it goes your way. So that didn't go our way. I felt we actually tried to be a little bit more expansive at times. People were on about in half-time thoughts about no sign of an attack, lack of clarity in attack. For me, it was poor execution.
Absolutely.
Nagama had a couple of chances. Percival put one down. Yeah. Grace stepped or put his arm into touch, and he could have scored. Tommy Makinson on that right wing scores them points. So it's coming, but the execution just wasn't there. Not making excuses at all. Obviously, given COVID circumstances, we flew in on the day. I don't think we've ever had success at Catalan when we've been going in and out. It's a tough trip, and we just looked off it in that first half. And to be fair, I thought we actually did well to go in only 6 points down in the end, given especially decisions going against us.
Well, certainly. There was a lot of stuff that went against us. Some of it our own doing. Some of it, as you say, down the right-hand side where Nagama, or was it Grace? That one's for you, Bill Arthur. How can you not know Grace is a left winger? Anyway,
it's late. Do you know what? I think I tweeted that. It's for me. It's lazy. You said about obviously the forward pass. That was the commentary. They're watching the same pictures from England as we were. You saw straight away for me that he stepped into touch. It was quite obvious, especially after the third replay. But the commentary team didn't get it.
But no, that's the thing. And you mentioned Tommy Mack. If he's playing, perhaps he scores. Perhaps as well. And I thought Percival was really, really good tonight. I thought Mark Percival was almost getting back to his best. But I still think he's more comfortable at left centre. And perhaps a couple of times it was almost, he's been criticised in the past for not using his winger. And I think if he hadn't used his winger tonight in the first half, he scores twice. And we're talking about the Mark Percival show. We're talking about a brilliant win in France. But, there was, to be 8-2 down at half time, it wasn't an absolute disaster. The disaster came in the second half with that try where Cook tries a pass, aims at Regan's shoulder, and suddenly we've got a big gap. And that allowed them to keep us at arm's length for most of the game. And they had a spell after that as well, which, kept us in the back foot.
Yeah, there's a few other decisions in that first half as well. I'm still unsure of why Kevin Nagama's try got chalked off. Was it forward and he went back for the penalty? Or had he already moved the penalty and that's why it wasn't a try? It wasn't clear what the decision was for. And then obviously in that second half, listen, you see Coop throw that pass to Grace, running the ball back in nearly every single game that we play.
Yeah.
Again, 9 times out of 10, Grace makes a bit of a free flowing play from that and gets us upfield. They're the risks you have to take. It didn't come off. And so you think the penalty against us in the first half, which led to the try, that mistake in the second, a few bits of execution, it goes the other way, the scoreline, doesn't it? And it's fine margins. Yeah. But listen, it's not going massively blaming the referee. We were poor in that first half. And I think Christian Wolf's post-match interview will probably reflect on that execution in the first half and things just not going right for us.
Yeah, I think so. And in some ways, and I know that this is going to this will kind of provoke comments, but people that say we're a boring side, we almost tonight in terms of poor execution got penalised for trying to play too much rugby. People might say that sounds absolutely ridiculous, but we moved the ball wider, quicker, and if the execution was better, then we would have scored. But then if your auntie had a psychical nudge, she would also be your uncle, wouldn't she? But it is what it is. We made mistakes, but we're trying to do the right things, I believe. People may disagree, and that's absolutely fine. Once it clicks, and it will click. Christian himself said through the week, you don't want to be absolutely hitting your straps and be, A1 at this time in the season. You don't want to be losing games, obviously, but there's no point peaking now. It's pointless, and then blowing up when you get to kind of August, September time. But I don't think we're massively far away, to be absolutely honest.
The other really disappointing aspect for me is I felt for the last couple of years when we've gone over to Catalan, they play us in a certain way where they try and grub us out of it. And it felt like they did it again tonight. We didn't have that plan B to get around it. The amount of lying on, messing around at the play the ball, I think it showed for me in that last 10 seconds. We were trying to get up to play the ball, and he's pinned him down by his throat, and it's just allowed to go on. Yeah,
I couldn't believe that when I was watching that. I'm like, that's 5-6 seconds at least, and there it's a penalty. You kick that down to the 20-metre line, and you've got a chance. You got a chance. There was other times as well. I think at the start of that set, they gave away a 6 again, and they were quite happy to do that. And when you've got 50 seconds to go, at that time, it's got, for me, I think someone else said it on Twitter, it's got to be a penalty at that time because it's clearly cynical play trying to run down the clock. And we know what Catalan do. You need a strong referee to deal with it as well.
I think in that last 30 seconds, Peter, there was about 3 6-agains.
Yeah.
The rule's abused. For me, if the attacking team is getting a 6 again inside their own 30, that should be a penalty to kick downfield because that's the advantage. Getting a 6 again on your first tackle is, do you know what? Teams are now trained to give it away. Get your defensive line set. If you kick long and Lachlan Coote picks up on that when he's tackled, just pin him down. We'll get our defensive line back set. It's for me, it's rewarding the defensive team to cheat.
Yeah. Well, yeah, certainly in those positions in the field, and certainly at certain times in the game, I see when you get to the last minute or so, there shouldn't be a 6 again. Certainly in the last 30 seconds, as we've seen tonight, and that's not sour grapes. People might say that it is, but I think if it was your team, and if this is to any fans of any other teams watching, if that was your team, for any team, a 6 again in the closing seconds is pointless. It should be a penalty because it's cynical play, and perhaps it should be a yellow card as well. Not saying necessarily any of the ones tonight, but if it's cynical play, it should always be a yellow card.
That said, Peter, maybe we should have just done what Catalan did in the first half. And when you get a 6 again and you don't like it, drop the ball and then get given the penalty instead. It's like a free chance.
Yeah, I noticed that, and that's bizarre. I mean, it seems to be there's certain things creeping in to the game again, which I don't like. I watched quite a couple of the NRL games this morning, and the game that was on Sky, it was the Melbourne Storm against the Raiders, I think it was, and there was a number of players ended up putting report in 10 minutes in the bin when they went down and held their head and lay on. The game was going on. The referee had to stop it to get treatment. Then they had a look, and suddenly it's all right on report. Penalty, 10 minutes in the bin. They had that before, and over here where crowds would look at the screen, the player would go down so he can get treatment. The incident was replayed on the screen. The crowd would roar, and the referee would and the video ref would get together and decide to give a decision that hadn't been given. And I don't like that at all. If you're going to, do it like they do in Union, have the video referee in the referee's ear saying there's a penalty advantage there, back, in the centre circle, a centre spot, go back to that, rather than, messing around as seems to be getting happening every week. Like Maloney was absolutely, the prime example of it tonight. But I think we need to start. These things are creeping into the game, like some of the diving as well, and it's got to stop because it's making a mockery of the sport, to be honest.
That said, again, we lose by 4 points. 3 tries apiece. Coop was a little bit off with his kicking tonight, but not the kicks he missed weren't easy.
Yeah.
I think it's one of those you just have to suck it up, move on, and I don't think we're going to be far away. I genuinely don't believe that.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. I mean, we've got Hull again on Friday night. You'd be thinking that they're playing tomorrow night, so we've got an extra day's rest after a tough away trip. So hopefully we'll come back, looking to make up for that on Friday night. There's no other team, even Wigan were fairly lucky today as well. So that there's no one else that's outstandingly better or far ahead of anyone else. There's a lot of teams that are kind of together. I think Saints and Wigan, and then maybe Catalan and in their own minds, Warrington on the occasional day. But we've had a defeat today. We'll see what happens on Friday night. I wonder if it might be an opportunity to give Robes a rest. We'll need to remember the guy's age and the work rate that guy goes through. And I hope perhaps a home game might be a good opportunity to give Lewis Dodd a start. We've got to give these guys an opportunity at some point. Perhaps Dan Norman as well. I think Big Al, obviously, if this had been a home game today, I think Big Al might have missed out. So let's take the opportunity to give another couple of players some minutes. It's good to see Morgan Knowles as well today, getting minutes and getting back to his old self as well. But no, listen, I had a feeling they might lose. We've got to lose at some point. So, but we're fine. We'll still be there. We'll get to Wembley as well. So let's be positive if we can. There's going to be a lot of people moaning, so we'll try and get some positivity going here.
Yeah, you spoke about Lewis Dodd. Then he obviously came on for the last 20. Thought he did well when he came on.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Showed a lot, even despite Catalan players just trying to put the elbows into his face and rub his head into the ground alongside Jack Welby.
Yeah, listen, that'll do these guys no harm. I don't mind that happening because, these young guys need to know that this is the type of stuff that goes on at Super League level. They need to, I suppose, grow up, if you like, and learn that, they're going to take these big hits. They've got to take it to be able to deal with it, because if he doesn't experience that, then he gets one big hit. You've seen what happened many, many years ago to a young Saints prop who was the next big thing, Gareth Frodsham. He got absolutely emptied in a game over at Bradford. I don't know if you remember that. I think it was 2008 season. And the boy was never the same again. He got absolutely put in his backside. And, a proper big hit. I think it might... I can't remember
like Rain Man?
Yes. But listen...
Speaking of odds...
I made notes. I made notes I'm not giving myself credit that I don't need. Yeah, thank you. But I mean, it just shows. I mean, that was a prop that was, was a lot of people talking him up. He took a one big hit, and I think that really set him back, and had a detrimental effect in his career. So I think these guys getting a bit of rough treatment, that's good for them. It makes them learn. Jack's obviously had a lot of that. He's been in the team more than Lewis Dodd, but him playing in there at 9 when he goes back to playing 7. It's going to help his game in terms of his distribution, being able to deal with the tough stuff like Theo does. And I think I would love to see him getting more minutes, because I think he could do a really, really good job. And especially if his speed at the base of the ruck, but also his speed, running with the ball as well. I think he could be a good player for us over the next couple of weeks if he gets the opportunity.
Yeah, obviously Gareth Frodsham went on to Rochdale. Rhode Island Rebellion he played for in 2013, so there you go.
Rhode Island Rebellion? That sounds like a film. Is that a film?
Should be.
That sounds like a film, doesn't it? With Nicolas Cage or something, I don't know. That's
playing Gareth Frodsham. Gareth, if you're watching this or anybody knows where he is, send him our way. We want to know what he's up to these days.
Yeah. We've got a business opportunity for you.
So Hull on Friday evening. Obviously, Wigan have gone top of the table today. They've squeaked through away at Salford, who we demolished 28-0 on Monday. So you get a feeling we're going to go into Catalan next Saturday. Hopefully, you're right. If we can get the win on Friday night, hopefully we'll find ourselves back at the top of the table next week. I think it's just suck it up, move on. And it's one of those things didn't go our way. Fine margins.
Well, exactly. And remember, when we won Super League in 2014, Catalans stuck 40 plus on us in a baking hot summer's afternoon. One of a few hammerings we took that year, but we seem to recover from them. So let's not go absolutely off the cliff at one defeat in 7. If we go another 6 games undefeated, I'll be quite happy, because it means we'll be at Wembley and we'll be top of the league again. I'm not sure what the 7th game is. If the 7th game is Wembley, then I apologise in advance. It might not be, but it's one defeat. Let's not go over the top about it.
Okay, let's have a look at some of the tweets that have come in this evening, if we can pull them up. Game without a Y said we had chances to win. Percy at the end of the first half should have gone himself. Coop's goal kicking was off, and let's face it, the second time was fluky off the back of our mistake. Still, I think our attack needs more work, but hopefully as dry weather comes, we'll see that. John Lewis. He should sponsor our channel, John Lewis. Terrible to the last 10 minutes, boring, predictable rugby. Not a fan of blaming refs, but Hicks had a shocker. David Powell. Thought we actually tried to play a little bit today. We just weren't sharp enough. I think we talked about that, the execution in the first half.
Absolutely right.
And I think he's right. If them couple of passes stick in the first half and we go in 18-8 up, the whole game has a different slant on it.
Absolutely right. I completely agree.
Fine margins.
Yep.
Mike Finn. We didn't turn up for the last 60, for the first 60, sorry. Looked tired, didn't respond well to Cat slow in the game. Dodds was a bright spot when he came home. Roby looked shattered. Need to look at ourselves, so it could be a positive in the long run. Rasklar thinks it was coming. Doesn't get the negative with the new boys. They're not Zeb, Tyre or Don Peru, but give them time. Although no one's shone tonight. Catalan average, but played us perfectly. Christian Wolf releases the backs. They're good enough. Thinks our discipline has a lot to do with Hicks only seeing things one way, but it's the 5 drives and the kick he's worried about, and he thinks we should thank Wolf and send him home at the end of the season. We're looking awful in attack lately. Lee says the first proper test and we come unstuck. We look clueless in attack to the last 10 minutes, like we have in most games, but we just got away with it because we played lesser teams crap. Listen, just have some perspective on it, as I always say. Just give us time and reflect at the end of the year. We seem to get this every year when we lose games. I know, and to be fair, some of these comments have been coming when we're winning, so fair play, people have stuck with their views. Yeah. Sam said it was easy to blame the ref, but Hicks. Thanks once again for the poor decisions. Dave Powell thinks the inaccuracy and ill discipline cost us our record. The Saint thinks it was our first real test and we failed. The import's not affected as we hope. Tackling, everything's okay, but not breaking tackles and offloading is really what is required. But Catalans bang average, but enough to snuff out our dubious attacking formations and was disappointing. And lastly, Maloney run the game. He gave a lot of advice to the ref, and we must learn to counter the tactics instead of sulking when things go against us. Ref wasn't great. Catalans' first strike came off an incorrect penalty, and Grace's try should have been an 8-pointer. Yeah, lots to learn from this game.
Absolutely 100% right there, Brenda. I couldn't believe that they didn't, give a penalty for the late hit to the head. Absolutely right.
Some poor individual performances, a couple of chances not taken, and inconsistent refereeing shouldn't over the shadow of the fact that Dragons were the better team on the day and they score flattered us. I don't recall an awful lot more Catalan opportunities for them to score, though. I thought we were still pretty decent defensively.
Yeah, I think maybe the last trial, that should have been tackle completed to his ball carrying arm hit the floor. But after that, we didn't react well, and it was about a few missed tackles. It was probably the first time we've been sloppy in defence all season. So I'll give him that point for sure.
Paul Prescott thought we were very poor. Attack is very pedestrian. We allowed Catalans to bully the team in far too many errors. Mark, who is on the real ale, and we wish we were. It says too slow, gifted points, poor ref, no apparent attack plan, missed goal kicks, plenty for the I told you so gang to go at. And David Rigby thought we have no complaints and we were found wanting today. One I haven't got to put up, but we did retweet, and I did actually write wow on it. We had a tweet in that wrote, poor team performance. Roby is done. Coote and Nagama are back home in their heads. Alex Walmsley and Kyle Amor are bang average. Mark Percival left his brain at home. Christian Wolf has no plan B. Poor discipline is a Saints disease this season. Winning the grand final twice has made us lazy, and we need a big rebuild.
He must be a barrel of laughs. He or she must be an absolute barrel of laughs. And
listen, do you know what? I retweeted that and wrote wow on it, and somebody came back and had a go at me saying, listen, wait, what did they put? Said, is he not allowed an opinion? Give over the proper fan stuff. No. All fans are equal. But that's how social media works. If you have an opinion and you post it publicly, listen, people are going to probably put comments under this video, Peter, and tell us we're talking rubbish or I'm talking rubbish, which generally they do. Do you know what? If you put your opinions out there, stand by them and be prepared to be challenged, discussed, and people to communicate back. That is how social media works without being out of order and having to go at people. Yeah,
exactly. Well, I'm my opinion isn't any more valid than any of those Saints fans tweeting there or on the Facebook page or who might comment on the video. I don't purport to be absolutely right. If someone says I disagree with you, then that's great. Tell me why. We can have a chat about it and agree to disagree, or you might win me over with your compelling argument. But, we've all got opinions. We won't all agree. And it's absolutely fine to not agree. I've agreed to disagree with a number of people on a number of things, and it's fine. There's no problem.
On Monday night, we were talking masks, and I had to go quite a lot of people who weren't wearing masks. I stand by my views 200% for why people should be. People disagreed. Do you know what? I'll argue the point we get, and I'll try and convince you otherwise, but that's opinions.
Yeah, I mean, you're right. I mean, if they choose not to wear a mask, even though it was one of the very, very few conditions that the club put in place for returning to the stadium in safety. And it's really, for me, my opinion, it would be respect for everybody else that you wear a mask. It's not to do with yourself, it's other people. And for me, what you're saying, if you're not wearing a mask and steadfastly refusing and arguing about not wearing it, is that you've not got a great deal of respect for other people you're standing around who don't know where you've been, who you've been in contact with. So just think about that is what I would say to these people. Yeah.
So there's Peter's view on the mask situation. But again, some of the tweets I've put out on there on the screen tonight, I don't agree with those responses. It's different than what we've just discussed in the video. But people are entitled to their opinion, and we'll air the views. There's no superfan stuff here because do you know what? I support my club, and we just happen to have a platform for people to share the views and watch this, discuss the views, and that's why we retweet stuff.
And the thing is, if everyone agreed, we'd have absolutely nothing to talk about. So it's great that we have a difference of opinion and that people can put their views across, and you can have a discussion about them, and that's good, because then I like to hear other people's views, because you get a great perspective of how people view a match, and it's great. I'm looking forward to getting back down to a game. For me, I don't have a season ticket. I've got one of those supporter memberships, so I can keep my neb in, as it was. So I'm hoping that by the Wigan game in the early July might be the first opportunity for coming back. And if it is, I will be there with bells on, and if required, a mask on. Most of you probably think that would improve my looks, and that's probably right too. But so if you've got to go, if you're going on Friday night, wear a mask so that other people can get back to the game as well, if you don't mind, i.e. me, okay?
I'd just wear a mask because it's bloody freezing.
even in the summer.
Peter, in Scotland, why didn't they think of it years ago?
Listen, you're saying that I've had to close my kitchen blind because the sun's streaming in like you wouldn't believe.
There's a snowstorm coming to make up for it, I'm sure.
You're probably right, actually. You're probably right.
Right. Peter, thank you for joining us once again. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe on the video. And you can also write in the comments that we're also talking rubbish, and we won't delete it.
Please do. Please do.
That's how we go about things. All right. Cheers. Speak to you later.
Cheers.